Hello everyone, it's me, Aaron, Professor Thorgy, your guide to all things geeky, and welcome to another episode of Comic Class, the show every single week on this channel where we just geek out about comic books. And you know, for the past couple months, we've been hearing these little rumbles and rumors coming from Marvel about something called Generations, and they have been very mysterious about what the heck it could possibly be. All we knew is that it would involve the modern day versions of characters meeting the classic versions of these characters. It would involve the legacy characters meeting the people who they got their names from. So a lot of people said, oh, they're gonna bring back all these original characters, and I knew instantly that was not what the case was going to be. I knew that because there was no way that they were going to clone Carol Danvers and make her both Captain Marvel and Miss Marvel at the same time. So I knew it wasn't going to be that. So I assumed that was going to be something involving time travel. I assumed it was going to have something to do with the modern day version of these characters going back in time and meeting the characters they got their names from. And you know what? That sounds like a really cool idea. I would actually like to see what happens when Miles Morales meets a young Peter Parker. I would be very interested in seeing what happens when Kamala Khan meets Carol Danvers right when she was starting off, especially after the big fallout that they had in Civil War II. It could be a good moment for these characters to kind of like grow closer together and understand each other more. And issue number 1, which focuses on the Hulks, Amadeus Cho and Bruce Banner, finally came out today. And did it do everything that Marvel wanted to do? Did it really celebrate this new generation of heroes? Did it progress all of them forward to the next stage of their story? Did it capture what Marvel had been missing from their books for so long and remind everybody of what made their series great? Kind of. I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm kind of still buffering this issue. Just like last week when we talked about Secret Empire number 7 and it was still fresh in my mind, I was like, I don't know how I feel about this. I'm a little bit more concrete on this issue. I will go ahead and say, I like this issue. I think it was pretty darn good. It was a really strong emotional journey for Amadeus Cho. And I will tell you what I mean by that in just a second. But at the same time, it has some problems. However, I don't think that any of the problems in this issue really exist within the issue. It all has to do with things going on outside of Marvel and what this could possibly mean for the future of Marvel. I am being super vague about all this. I apologize. So let's go ahead and get into what this issue is about. Now, I hate to be kind of negative, but I'm going to start with one of my problems with this issue, which is just how it starts. It starts with Amadeus Cho finding himself in the desert. And we had all been wondering, okay, so what exactly is Generations? Is it going to be a time travel story? If it is a time travel story, how does it begin? Because I honestly thought there was going to be a Generations one-shot that just kind of kicked this whole thing off. Then it went and focused on each of these characters separately. I was really looking forward to seeing, okay, so what starts all of this? There is no Generations one-shot. There is nothing that explains why this is happening. Amadeus Cho finds himself in the middle of the desert and he goes, what's going on? I was just in Washington, D.C. a moment ago, and now I'm out here in the desert for some reason. And I read that and went, wait, hold on. You're not going to tell us how he time travels. But he mentions he was in Washington, D.C. We know he's in Washington, D.C. right now in the comics because he went there to fight evil Captain America. He went there to fight Hydra Cap. And we know that in Secret Empire, when they have the big final issue, there is of course going to be a big massive battle in Washington, D.C. Did you just kind of spoil the ending of Secret Empire a little bit? Like, is this connected to Secret Empire? Is this going to be the result of the big battle at the end? Like, is the cosmic cube going to shatter and all these heroes are going to be lost in time temporarily, and that's what each of the Generation one-shots are? Because if that's what's going to happen, shouldn't you have saved this until after Secret Empire was over with? Doesn't that seem like the smart choice to make? And don't get me wrong, Marvel does this kind of thing all the time, where they put out the books they're supposed to follow giant massive events before the giant massive event is over with. They do it all the time. It happened with Secret Wars, it happened with Civil War II. But the difference is, Secret Wars and Civil War II were both delayed for months, for a long period of time. So yeah, Marvel had to eventually just sit down and go, well, half of our books kind of depend on this thing being over with by now, we can either just not put out half of our books until all this is over with, and then overload the market by just spilling out there all those ones that we've been keeping in storage for this moment. Or we can just put them out now even though the event isn't over with yet. And in all honesty, when that's the choice you're faced with, yeah, I don't know what I would choose in that situation either. I might go the way that they did as well. However, Secret Empire actually has not been delayed. It faced like one delay that was by just a few weeks. And then last week they had an issue come out the week after the issue before, so they kind of played catch up and they were actually able to get back on schedule. Meaning they always planned for Generations to come out before Secret Empire was over with. Don't get me wrong, again, I am totally just reaching out there and taking a guess that this all comes after Secret Empire simply because it mentions Washington, D.C. That might not be connected to anything. The reason that they're time traveling might not be important at all. We might never learn that. It might just be some big cosmic, oh hey, the gods decided it would be a good idea to do this thing. And now they're back in their own time. It wasn't important why. What was important was the journey, not the destination. So maybe that's why. Maybe it isn't tied to Secret Empire at all. However, it really looks like it's tied to Secret Empire. And if it's tied to Secret Empire, why on earth did you release this before Secret Empire was over with? You seriously could not have waited just a few more months? It's almost over with. We have 3 more issues of a bi-weekly series. Just push it back 2 months. Nobody wanted to do double events. We would have all been fine with waiting for Secret Empire to be over before we go into this thing. Anyway, now that that's out of the way, let's get into the rest of this issue. So as I said, Amadeus Cho finds himself in the Nevada desert, and then he sees Bruce Banner Hulk out there. And the two of them look at each other and is like, what on earth are you? Why are you here? And so then Amadeus Cho tries to get Hulk away from a bunch of General Ross's soldiers so that the Hulk doesn't end up hurting him. They have a little battle. Then Amadeus Cho is like, you know what, listen, you're my hero, I respect you, and I'm really freaking tired, I'm not gonna fight you. And then the two of them just kind of like power down, go into their regular forms, and they have a little conversation back and forth. And this turns into all the stuff that I loved about this issue. As I said, I do have problems with it. One of the main ones being what I just addressed a second ago. However, going into the actual story and the actual premise, which is these characters interacting with each other, this was great. Seeing Amadeus Cho interacting with Bruce Banner, we've seen that before, but it was the older Bruce Banner interacting with the younger Amadeus Cho. We never saw the older Amadeus Cho interacting with the younger Bruce Banner. Like, it was great to see Bruce Banner just being so desperate and crazed because this thing is destroying his life and the memories of his father are wrecking him, and him just going up to Amadeus Cho like, how do you control this? And Amadeus Cho is just like, I'm sorry, man, I'm just different from you, that's all. And it's like, yeah, man, that's the explanation. I mean, that's why Jen Walters could always control her transformation. Neither of these guys had that demon boiling up inside of them. However, as the issue goes along, we see Amadeus Cho like, listen, man, you need to relax, you need to rest. And they go and they have to find some clothes at a farmhouse. And that was a classic thing with Bruce Banner. He would always destroy his clothes, so he would always just kind of find some clothes just laying on a clothesline somewhere and just steal them and put them on. And Amadeus Cho brings up something that really shows the difference between these two guys and where they're coming from, is that as they're stealing these clothes, he just goes, so, what do you do about this? Do you, like, send him a check in the mail after this to make up for the clothes? He's like, oh yeah, I'll get right on that. I love that moment because it's like, yeah, Amadeus Cho, he has never had to worry about being on the run. He doesn't know what that lifestyle is like, whereas Bruce Banner, that's all he knows. So I love that little small exchange between them. But what comes next to me is probably my favorite moment in this whole thing, because Amadeus Cho always looked at Bruce Banner and the Hulk as heroes. He loved these guys. He realized the struggle that Bruce Banner went through. He realized what the Hulk had done, but he still totally admired Bruce Banner for his mind. And he admired the Hulk for being a hero who stands up for the little guy, even if he was a big giant rage monster. So he's like, you know what? We need to get you something to eat. Let's go into this diner. And Bruce Banner's like, I can't go in there. Everyone knows my face. I'm one of the most wanted people on the planet. And he just goes around to the back alley, starts digging in a dumpster, and starts eating out of the trash. And Amadeus Cho has to watch his hero eating out of the trash. And I know it's weird, but I love that moment. because Amadeus Cho just had to sit there and watch this and be like, dude, you don't deserve this. Like, he had always kind of looked up to these two guys as heroes, and now he had to watch them at their lowest. He had to see, no, all that stuff of me on the Avengers, all that stuff you see on the news, me saving people and all that stuff, this is what it was like getting to that point. This is the struggle I had to go through. And as this goes along, a giant monster appears. There's actually a reason for it. He doesn't just come out of nowhere. But a giant monster appears, and Amadeus Cho is like, no, listen. You, as Bruce Banner, get people out of the diner. Get people out of this area. Try and get them out here. Try and control your heart rate. Just try and stay in control. I'm Amadeus Cho. I'm the Hulk. I'm going to take charge here. I'm going to go in there. I'm going to save the day. And Amadeus Cho goes in there, tries to stop this monster, tries to turn him back towards the water. Doesn't want to hurt the monster, just wants to kind of get it back into the ocean. But then General Ross comes in, starts attacking, starts sending in missiles, starts blowing up everything in sight. And Amadeus Cho, he's trying to fight it back. He's trying to fight that rage. But if you've been reading the Amadeus Cho Totally Awesome Hulk series, you know he does have his own rage monster. This is a thing that every now and again he does lose control of as well. He comes in there and he's the big smiling, hey everybody, I'm the Totally Awesome Hulk character. But if you've been reading it, they've been doing this great thing all throughout the series that I think has really defined Amadeus Cho. And it also kind of defines the Hulk in a way in which every time he goes into being the Hulk, you will see Amadeus Cho kind of dreaming and he's driving this really big, nice, fancy car. But then there's something in the trunk that's trying to get out. And every now and again, when he starts to lose control, it'll flash to him in that car, and he like looks in the rearview mirror, and the Hulk is sitting now in the back seat, or his hand will come up and try to take a hold of the wheel. That's been one of my favorite things about the Amadeus Cho Hulk series. It really depicts the Hulk as being, no, you're never fully in control. I know you think you're in control. I know you think you have your hands on the wheel. But there's still that big, mean, green passenger sitting in the back seat, and every now and again, he's gonna wanna drive. That has been something that Amadeus Cho, he's tried not to admit, he's tried to fight it back, he's tried to go, you know what, I can control this. But it has been that thought in the back of his mind, and you see in this instant, after he watched his own hero being just beaten down so much, and him at his lowest, and then you've got him facing the military the way that Bruce Banner always had to face it, he kind of loses it. He can't deal with the thing that Bruce Banner always had to try and struggle with, just like Bruce Banner couldn't deal with it. And his rage monster starts to come out. He starts to fight back too. He starts fighting the military, he fights the giant monster, and then Bruce Banner comes in as the Hulk, kicks him down and goes, listen, you got a passenger in the back seat. I know you think you got this in control. And I love that that was literally what he was saying. It wasn't him coming in here and going, listen, I know what it's like to have a monster inside you. He goes, this is what it's like, right? It's like driving a car and you have a giant monster in the back seat and you think you have it in control. You don't have it in control. I love that this entire issue, it starts with Amadeus Cho trying to tell Bruce Banner, okay, here's how you control the Hulk. Listen, man, you just gotta get over all these anger issues, man. You can get your way through this. You can work your way through it. And I thought, oh man, you know what? It's Amadeus Cho trying to help his hero. This is the guy he always looked up to. This is the guy he always thought of as his hero. And this is his moment to come in here and be the hero to him, to try and help him out. And then they flip the table on you and go, yeah, no, it's the Hulk. You don't get to help him. He doesn't get to help you. He just gets to warn you about what you are. Bruce Banner then comes in and goes, you think this is a gift? You've been treating it like an amazing thing? It's not a gift. It's a curse. You are a monster and you have to deal with this. And this whole issue ends with Amadeus Cho then kind of sort of being brought back to the present. It's kind of mysterious what exactly happens there at the end, but it's clear they get separated again. He's no longer there with the original Bruce Banner. And at the end of it, he's like, he's right. I've been trying to think of this as some cool, fun thing, but there is a monster in there. And it's something that one day it's gonna take control. I have to find a way to get rid of this. Okay, so as I said, all the interactions between these two, I love. As I said, that should have been the main focus of this event. That should have been the big draw of this event, seeing these characters interact. They nailed it in this issue. I love seeing Amadeus Cho having to see, oh, my hero didn't get, showered in flowers and gold and everyone praised and loved him. It wasn't just a couple of jerks who were misunderstanding him. It was a struggle for him. this was a nightmare for him. I love seeing him actually really experience there firsthand what it was that Bruce Banner had to go through. And I love seeing Amadeus Cho having to fight off the military the way that the Hulk did, because it was like he never had to deal with that. He was always kind of on the side of the good guys. He never had the good guys trying to take him down. So I love seeing that he was like, this is an unwinnable situation. I can't save this monster and save the military and save myself. I love that he saw that, wow, the stuff that Bruce had to go through was a nightmare. And I also love that they just totally flipped that table on you, that this seems like, oh, it's Amadeus going to give some helpful advice to Bruce, and nope, it is Bruce just giving a warning over to Amadeus. So all that stuff I thought was great. However, the whole point of these Generation books, it becomes clear in this issue that the whole point is kind of to set these legacy characters more on a path that the older characters were on. And for some of these characters, I think that's actually cool. Like, I would really dig seeing Captain Marvel go on more big, giant space adventures like the original Captain Marvel. However, Miss Marvel Kamala Khan, I think she's great doing her own thing. I don't think she needs to go in here and try and imitate Carol Danvers when she was Miss Marvel. But then again, who knows if that's what that issue is going to be about. I'm just kind of making assumptions based on this one issue. When we actually get to that issue, it can be totally different. So I will judge it when it gets to that issue. And before anybody asks, I'm not going to do issue by issue analyses of every single one of these issues, but I will do a big final one when all of them are done. So, as I said, if that's what they're going to do, it's going to work for some characters, but I don't know if it's going to work for all of them. But speaking just about the Hulk, I do really love the idea of the big, goofy, almost like a jock Hulk, a Hulk who should be in an Old Spice body spray commercial next to Terry Crews. I kind of love that version of the totally awesome Hulk that we've been getting. However, I fully understand that ain't the Hulk that everybody out there wants. Everybody out there wants the Hulk who is dealing with that demon inside of them. And they tried doing that with Jennifer Walters, and I really dug it for the first couple of issues. But now they've started to kind of move away from that as well in her own series. So it looks like they're kind of going to try. And get Jennifer Walters back to being the fun-loving She-Hulk that she was. But then they have to find some Hulk to make the tormented monster trying to cure himself. So it looks like they're going to try and give that to Amadeus Cho. And I would be mad if this was just coming out of nowhere, but it's not coming out of nowhere. Like I said, that whole metaphor about the car, that's been there from issue 1. That has always been there. So this was kind of them coming in there and going, okay, well, you finally have to deal with it. So I'm not going to criticize it for having this thing come out of nowhere. It has been there. This actually feels more like the conclusion to a storyline that has been building for a long time. So kudos to you, Marvel. However, I have said for the longest time, one of the reasons why I loved a totally different take on the Hulk is because that idea of the guy who is just going from place to place trying to cure the monster inside of him, you can't do that forever. That's a really great storyline. That's a really great storyline that could last 5 to 10 years. It's not a storyline that lasts 40 to 50 years. Eventually, this guy either has to cure himself or he has to lose that battle to being the Hulk. One of those two things will eventually have to freaking happen. So now you're going to have Amadeus go through that. This could be great for several issues. This could be great for a couple years. But if you plan on Amadeus permanently being the Hulk, which I would totally be okay with, but if you plan on him permanently being the Hulk, and this now being the thing that he is permanently dealing with, that's where I run to the issue. I don't want this to be the thing that Amadeus is always having to deal with. I don't want this to be the thing that defines his version of the Hulk, because that's not something that should always be the Hulk's problem. I mean, it wasn't even always Bruce Banner's problem. Bruce Banner himself cured himself multiple times of his anger issues and the evil demon Hulk inside of him, but then would always come back because everybody was like, yeah, I kind of want the evil demon Hulk. So I am kind of curious about what the future of the Amadeus Hulk series is going to be. Like, is he now going to be just hitchhiking around the country, old Bruce Banner style, trying to find a cure and like, no, I must fight back the demon that's in the trunk of my car? Or is he still going to be the fun-loving Hulk, but he's going to be a little bit more aware of, alright, oh, I can feel that monster coming. Alright, just gotta tap it down. Just tap it down. Be cool, Amadeus. Rock me, Amadeus. I'm sorry I had to pause the video because I can't believe I actually just made a Rock Me Amadeus joke in here. Amadeus, 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 Amadeus. But my other issue with this, just again, kind of comes with placement. As I said, if Generations is supposed to spin directly out of Secret Empire, then I have a huge problem with them just not waiting 2 months to put it out after Secret Empire is over with. But also, this was a really good issue. I really did enjoy this issue. However, it ends on a very, and this is my struggle. This is the dark shadow inside myself. This is my curse kind of moment. That's not what you should have the first issue of this thing end on. This is like that thing you do in the middle, because the whole tone of Generations, just from looking at it, seems really upbeat. It seems like it's going to be really fun. It seems like, oh man, it's these heroes capturing what it means to be heroes. And like I said, I totally get Bruce Banner's Hulk, not a hero. He was a monster who you could just kind of aim at bad guys. So I'm not saying they need to do that with the Hulk book, but start this thing off with a couple issues that do capture that. Then for like your 5th one, have that be the Hulk one where it's like, okay, I know how these go. It's all about these heroes learning to be heroes. Oh shoot, this one was not about him learning to be a hero. Oh, well that spiced everything up. That's got me now interested in what the rest of these are going to be. Yeah, it doesn't feel like this is the one they should have started with. It was good. I really enjoyed it. I thought it was a really great Bruce Banner and Amadeus Cho storyline. But just speaking in terms of like the flow of Generations, this is the kind of thing that you should put in the middle of it, not at the beginning. But as I said, overall, I have problems with where this story was placed, why they decided to put it out now, how there is no explanation unless you apparently read something else that we don't know what it was before this. And also, with the way that it ends, I felt they shouldn't have made it be the first book that comes out. But just speaking of it, as a Hulk storyline, it's darn good. And as I said, the entire thing that I wanted out of Generations was to get really great character moments of these characters interacting. There are some damn good character moments in here. So, yeah, I gotta say, I think this is actually a really strong issue. Have my problems with it coming out now and it being the first book, but you know what? If you plan on waiting until all these are over with and just picking them up in a trade, I can say this is off to a very strong start. And if the other books are of the same quality as this, I think Generations is going to be pretty darn fun. I have no idea what it's going to lead into, and also thinking about if these books are supposed to be these characters learning to be these characters, then it really makes me upset even more about Sam Wilson not being Captain America anymore. I will never not be mad about that, but yeah, it does seem like this event is going to be pretty darn good so far. If it is an event. I don't know what Marvel defines events as anymore, but that's beside the point. Let me know in the comments down below or on Twitter and Tumblr at Professor Thorgy what you thought of this issue. And remember, when all these are said and done, I will be coming back here and giving you my full analysis of every single issue. So if you want to see that, then make sure that you click that subscribe button, and you can also click on some of the videos at the end of this if you want to check out some more comic classes. As I said, we do these every single Wednesday, but also on the weekends we do fun movie reviews, game videos, we do all kinds of geeky stuff here. So make sure you click that subscribe button to see everything from us, and come back next time. Bye everyone.